Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kurt. Welcome back to Farlands or Bust. That's right, Farlands or Bust in episode 465 of Farlands or Bust. That zombie and sheep are in cahoots. They're in cahoots, I say. Oh, that is not what I wanted to place down there. Hey, guy, how are you? Receive death. Receive the diamond sword of spawn pointiness, death. But yeah, welcome to episode 465 of Farlands or Bust. It is Friday. I do not know how to... There we go. Let's go with that. I do not know how to make a proper door to a hidey hole, but there we go. It is episode, if I could say it 3 times, count them 3 times, episode 465 of Farlands or Bust. It is Friday, March 27th, 2015. And we are going to continue to the Farlands by sea, or by relatively shallow body of water, perhaps this is what we can call it. But continuing on here, we're still raising money for Child's Play charity. Had a very generous donation, had a few. You know, all the donations are generous, obviously, but a very big donation that got us over the $33,000 mark. We are at $33,056.74. Trying to raise $50,000, or trying to reach $50,000 for Season 5 here of Farlands or Bust. Season 5 indeed, which tomorrow, March 28th, will turn 1 year old. 1 year for Season 5 of Farlands or Bust, as well as 4 years of walking to the Farlands, because on episode 11 of the series, the first 10 episodes were your standard, let's play Minecraft, let's go caving, let's build a little cabin here on this hill, let's try not to die, let's try to find some diamonds and make a sword out of it and then carry it for 4 years. Yeah, it'll actually be how, I think on that episode, either episode 10, I think episode 10 is when I crafted and I made a decision, let's walk to the Farlands, and I crafted all the items I thought I would need, and I think that's when I crafted the diamond sword of spawn pointiness. So the diamond spawn of sword pointiness, the diamond sword of spawn pointiness, rather, is going to be 4 years old as well, or is already 4 years old. But yeah, that's March 28th, and that means I've been teasing all along that I wanted to do a mini live stream celebration for such things as those. So we are going to do that at twitch.tv/KurtJMac. I will be starting at... when will I be starting, Kurt? Let's see. 3. Count it. 3 p.m. Eastern Time. That is noon Pacific. Is that noon Pacific? Yeah, that's noon Pacific. Let's say that's noon Pacific. So 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific time. These are daylight times. We are in daylight times here in the United States. So noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern time. I figure that's a good time. It'll be the evening for those of you in Europe, so you'll be able to catch it. It's a Saturday. Everybody should have off of work and school, and there shall be no complaints. No. But yeah, we'll start then. We'll keep things casual. No need to wear a suit and a tie or anything. Just business casual. We'll remain kind of in a friendly atmosphere. I am planning on, maybe we can record, even though obviously right now I'm recording an episode of Farlands or Bust, we can record a special live episode of Farlands or Bust. Hopefully nothing tragic happens during that, because that would be terrible. But no, a little bit of a test for Flobathon, which only happens when we do raise the season goal for Child's Play charity, which we're getting pretty close. $33,000 of $50,000. That's only some dollars left. Mathematics in my head. Not so great. Not so great. I don't know what rhymes with that. So yeah, what is that? 15, 17, 17-ish, 16, a little bit less than $17,000 remaining. That is easy. That's a cinch. All that money going directly to Child's Play charity, of course. childsplaycharity.org to learn more about them and what they do. Of course, what we do is walk to the Farlands, and we're going to continue doing that today. This will have been past tense by the time this episode goes up. but at 3:43 p.m. Eastern Time today, the Soyuz launch out of Kazakhstan will be taking the astronaut and cosmonaut. Scott Kelly is the astronaut. I forgot the name of the cosmonaut, but they will be beginning their year-long expedition to the International Space Station, the longest continuous space flight, human space flight mission to date. Kind of really ramping up the main source of information we're getting from the International Space Station. There's a bunch of cool experiments going on that help with seeing how bacteria and disease and cancers behave and can or maybe be treated based on the modifications of microgravity and different things about fuel and plants and blah 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 and robotics. But kind of the main scientific reason for the International Space Station and long-duration spaceflight is to test how the human body responds, behaves, gets affected by long-term exposure to microgravity. Microgravity is the correct term. There's still gravity out there, but the fact that they're orbiting means that they don't feel its effects. They're kind of floating. It's 0G. 0G would be the incorrect. You would get a lot of space nerds pushing up their broken glasses and saying, well, that's not technically correct. I'm doing an impression of myself because I am myself a space nerd, but it's microgravity. So the year-long mission is certainly going to give us more of a indication as to what would happen on the way to Mars, because the trip to Mars is a 9-month, at its shortest, I believe, a 9-month journey. But of course, you have to factor in the trip back as well. So yeah, they're staying up there for 365 days. That is bonkers. It's bonkers, I say. Is it not bonkers? It's bonkers. So crazy stuff. I'll be tuned into that. And like I said, it will already have happened, the launch, if all goes well. The launch will have already happened. They'll actually probably already be docked to the space station. It only takes a couple hours to get to and then dock to the space station with the new Soyuz rendezvous procedures. But yeah, by the time this episode goes up, so this will all be past tense, but I thought I would mention it. In case you miss it, you could probably find the video on demand on YouTube or NASA TV or somewhere. But yeah, looking forward to that. Of course, another video on demand that you may have heard of is yesterday I uploaded a video to the Kurt Indeed channel. It is not dead. Actually, this is strange. I've been uploading tons of videos all the time. It must be the YouTube sub box that's broken. All you guys are just missing all my videos I've been uploading on a daily basis to Kurt Indeed. Excuses. No, but I uploaded a video to Kurt Indeed introducing Eva. My dog. I got a dog. Puppy Project, or what did Rosie call it? Puppy Project. The Puppy Project. Not a puppy. She is an adopted dog, so she's already over a year old. You're never too sure when it comes to adopted dogs, their origins, their age, their situation before they went to a rescue group. But they estimate about a year and a half old, maybe. And adopted. Actually, I adopted her a little bit ago. I didn't mention it because I was still getting used to it. And honestly, I wanted to make sure things were good with that. It's a little bit freaky. I even to this day question whether or not it is a good idea to have adopted a dog. I'm already feeling as though I'm pressed. That is probably lava, so let's go this way. I'm pressed for time, and perhaps not as diligent in my work as others, or as I could or should be. And now suddenly to throw a living, breathing animal into the mix that requires hours of attention per day, probably not the best for somebody struggling with schedule management, but it might be a good thing. I'm actually kind of mixing up my schedule today. Normally I eat breakfast, I get ready, take a shower, whatever, and then take her out on a walk. But now I am, and then after that I record Far Lines of Bust and then upload and process it in reverse order. And I'm trying something different. I'm actually recording and hopefully going to be processing the video, and then I'll take her for a walk while the video's processing. Multitasking. this is what I am trying to do. So she's been kind of pacing around the house. She realizes something is a little bit off schedule, as it has been for the past couple weeks. I'm sorry, I'm so boring. So boring. But yeah, I'll put a link in the end slate to that video. And yeah, with the vlogs, that was like the third time I tried to record that video. I had like, people saw the tripod in the background, and I had like a tripod set up. That wasn't working. I kept messing up. I was like, I put on like a nice shirt, and I was like trying to make it a proper vlog with like a mild script and have everything be funny and interesting. But then, you know, I just got so frustrated, and that's probably part of my problem. Why I haven't been uploading that many videos to the vlog channel is I'm probably comparing myself too much to my vlog heroes. You know, like the Vlog Brothers. You know, the people who do really well, the Hannah Harts and Grace Helbigs and things. But no, you gotta start somewhere. So start with a shaky handheld camera, just point it at your face and say words. That's probably what I'm gonna try to do from now on. So let's go to sleep and continue in the morning. Woof. And adopt a dogness. Woof indeed. But yeah, I feel like certainly got very lucky. Oh! This isn't very lucky at all. Get dead! Become dead! Wow, you shoot bad. You shoot terribly. You are a bad shot. Oh, this guy is going to be a good shot. Gotta go! See you later, creeper guy. But, ooh, the... Fall in the hole! Oh, he didn't fall in the hole. He did not fall in the hole as anticipated. Gotta go! Yeah, the video got great response. And, you know, a lot of people were making comments, oh, the Australian cattle dogs, they're herding dogs, they need a job, they're very smart, otherwise they'll start acting out. So far, like I said, only a couple weeks, but so far, been very lucky. Because, like I said, sometimes with a rescue dog, and I've seen multiple rescue dogs and, like, gotten to like, oh, consider adopting a different dog, and some of them have obviously had some problems. There was one that was completely terrified of men, as in me, and was trying to run away at all costs, and I'm like, you know, and they really were having a hard time adopting this dog, and it was like really sad, and I'm like, I could really, you know, it would really take a lot of time to try to break whatever happened that makes her fearful of male humans, and but you know, that would be too hard for a first dog. And then there were some who were really obviously excitable and jump and bark and stuff like that. But I feel like with Eva, gotten very... Did I mention? Yeah, her name's Eva. If you haven't seen that video. Very lucky. She's pretty calm, on the smaller side of an Australian cattle dog, which is what I wanted. But very calm. Haven't even heard her bark yet. I don't know what her bark sounds like. She's completely silent, even around other dogs. A little bit bigger dogs she's a little bit scared of, and will kind of get into the defensive and like hide behind me position. But she seems interested in little dogs. Haven't taken her to a dog park or any sort of dog meeting yet. Sometime soon we'll get into that. I don't want to obviously seclude her. I want to make sure she's well socialized with other dogs. So we'll work our way into that. But yeah, haven't heard her bark yet. Only a few little accidents at the beginning, just because I'm sure new place, new people, kind of nervous. But very well house trained, and eats. Not, you know, doesn't go nuts like some people get knocked over by the dog when they're trying to feed him. No, eats very respectably and knows the basic commands, your sits and your stop and your back and come, Eva come, and then she'll go, no, she's too busy. she's too busy off in the hallway. And yeah, that's probably the reason a lot of people were saying, oh, they're gonna be like distractions in the background. She just lays down in the hallway and like watches or falls asleep as I'm recording videos here. So the only minor problem, not a problem, but trying to do the crate training thing, because I would feel more comfortable going out and leaving her alone if she was in the crate. Got her in there the first couple times, but now she is smart. She's become wise to the process of going in the crate, even though I feed her in the crate, so it's supposed to be like a positive thing. She's gotten wise to every time I try to go in the crate, and she's like, nope, I know that means you're going to leave, so I am going to do everything but that. Not like destructive or not lashing out or anything, just refuses to go near the crate. So that's something I'll have to work on. Might have to do some sort of... Yeah, I'm not sure if going to a... it's probably recommended either way. Probably more for myself than for the dog. Some sort of obedience training type of situation, an organized class or something. Even agility. She seems like she'd be really good. These dogs are really good at agility training. Really great at the frisbee. Like super awesome leaping midair catches. Like I'm sure if I really wanted to, I don't really want to, but if I really wanted to, we could go into those like, aren't there like frisbee, catchy, retrievey, sporting competitions, like really good at that. But yeah, got a dog, a real dog. No offense to Wolfie. People were asking, why didn't you name him Wolfie? Nah, I mentioned that before. People have asked questions that, oh, if you ever do get a dog, would you name it Wolfie? No, because Wolfie is my Farlands or Bus dog. Can't name a dog, a real dog, Wolfie. It's not the same. It's not the same dog. Just like you wouldn't get two dogs and name them the same thing, right? It's kind of a weird thing to think about, but Wolfie is the digital dog here in Farlands or Bust world. Indeed, Wolfie perhaps not as smart or well behaved as Eva, but certainly we know what Wolfie barks like. And yeah, that's one of the reasons people were asking, oh, you should have started the video with Eva barking. I don't know how to compel her to do such a thing. I don't want to start that habit either. I'm always walking her around, and there's other dogs in backyards barking their heads off, and nobody does anything about it. And I don't want that kind of dog. So I'm sure eventually, I don't know, maybe I can like train to like speak, say the word speak, and then she'll bark or something like that. I don't know. But anyway, this is a cool little landscape, and while we're here, let's start answering questions from people who have donated to Child's Play Charity. When you do donate, you can ask a question. There's a little comment box. This one, one of the very generous donations that helped us breach the $33,000 mark from Philip. Philip asks, are there any fun space-related activities / museums or any other fun museums where you live that you would like to visit? Have you been to any yet? What are your favorite museums you have been to? Anywhere? Philip. I have not really taken the time to explore the new location, but certainly one thing about Chicago is that I'm going to go ahead and say Chicago has the best museums. Haven't been to New York or any of the New York museums to really compare, but going to go ahead and say Chicago is great for the museums. Museums of Science and Industry, the Field Museum of Natural History is probably the top one, I would say. My favorite. The Shedd Aquarium is also right there. The last time I went there, it felt more like an amusement park. It's really expensive, first of all, to get into the Shedd Aquarium, but then it almost feels like there's a little bit of a SeaWorld vibe. It feels less like a museum and more like entertainment, if you can catch my drift there. The Adler Planetarium, which I haven't been to in a long time. The Art Museum. It's kind of a toss-up between... God, it's really tough. I like a lot of stuff about each of them. The Science Museum has a really good little space section. They've actually reduced the size of it, which is a little bit disappointing the last time I was there, but they do have the Apollo 8 capsule, the actual capsule from Apollo 8, the first manned spacecraft to leave the orbit of Earth and head towards and orbit the moon. That's crazy. Like, why is that in Chicago? But that is pretty crazy and awesome. So yeah, to have the Apollo 8 capsule there, they have a Mercury capsule, and then one of the trainers, the training lunar landers is there, and a bunch of other things. But yeah, that's really cool for the science museum. They've also got the U-505, the U-boat, which is really cool. But then the Field Museum has a really cool, it has the T-Rex, Sue the T-Rex, and it has a very good meteorite collection, surprisingly. A very good meteorite collection, like huge meteorites that are all over the place. It's really good. Really good dinosaur evolution kind of walkthrough area. So yeah, it's really tough to pick. And then the Art Museum. The Fine Art Museum, the Art Institute, is that what it's called? The Fine Art Museum is great. There are a ton of excellent impressionism, because apparently when Impressionism was actually happening, when the Impressionists were painting the paintings, your Monets, your Manets, your Van Goghs, and whatnot, those of them in France they were getting poo-pooed there. The French people were like, no, this isn't art. So all the collectors and everything turned around and brought things to the United States. And for whatever reason, a lot of them ended up in Chicago. So there's really good examples of really good art there. It does have my favorite Picasso, the Blue Guitarist. I believe that's what it's called, or the Old Guitarist is my favorite Picasso painting. It's at the Chicago Art Museum. Of course, the very famous lions at the entrance of the museum are pretty famous for any museum. You know, anytime you see a fictional museum, they always have the lions out in front because, you know, it's just what they do. But yeah, I'd say probably, I would probably say if you are a museum goer, then Chicago is the place to go. I mean, there's tons more. There's a radio museum, a radio history museum, like broadcast museum. There is what are the types? There's tons of museums. I can't even remember them all. But yeah, I would definitely say Chicago is probably best for that in regards to museums and such activities as those. Being as the weather is frequently so bad, they seem to have focused on indoor activities for family and residents as opposed to the outdoor activities. But speaking of outdoor activities, let's sleep outdoors here on another elevated hidey hole, and do this and that and go to sleep in this pretty awesome little landscape here. We've got some archways and pointy things and more archways and floaty bits and trees everywhere. Trees for days. And oh, Agnes, that was harmonic. Here is another question from a donor, Bubs. Do you have a classic Game Boy, or did you have a classic Game Boy when you were a kid? And if so, what were your favorite games? I did not. I was very not... I've mentioned this before when I talk about my video game history. Not really the latest and greatest as far as games were concerned. It took a while, like years, for me to get a NES, the first Nintendo. I was well behind the curve. Kind of, you know, the parents got it for Christmas, but it was just one of those things. I don't think they really, you know, we had like only can play for 30 minutes at a time, and it was a little bit strict against the video games. Maybe not against the video games, but just... I'm trying to word this delicately without making it seem like my parents refused to allow me to play video games, and now I'm lashing out and being like, I'll show you, Mom and Dad, I'll do video games for a living. And then this is how we ended up where we were. No. So yeah, no, I never did. I had friends who had the Game Boys. I remember the little black and white, or black and yellow screens they almost were, and little magnifying attachment to magnify. I remember borrowing Game Boys from friends and playing Tetris and stuff like that, but otherwise, no, I did not. I don't think never owned any of the handheld devices. I think my little sister had the Sega one. No, or am I thinking of something else? I think she had yeah, she did, because I remember playing Echo the Dolphin. Yeah, she had the Sega one. I don't know why or how that came about, but yeah, she had the Sega handheld. I don't even know what that's called. But no, I never did, which is maybe why I'm not into mobile gaming, whether it be on my tablet or cell phone or anything. I don't play mobile games. Playing video games is a sit down and look at a screen and have some sort of controller or keyboard and mouse activity for me. It's just the way I was raised. This is from an anonymous donor, rather. What is your favorite weather condition as a resident of Oregon? I'm gonna pronounce that differently every time and just piss people off. As a resident of Oregon, I'm very accustomed to gloomy, rainy, windy weather. Favorite? I don't know. I mean, good weather? Good weather. Like, sunny. You know, something where I can still wear... Whoa! Still wear jeans. So sunny, but not, like, too crazy hot. But I don't know. I'm kind of... I do like the extremes, though, just to experience them. So, like, the extreme colds, when it was below 40 wind chill Fahrenheit in Chicago, I would go out just to say I went out and experienced it, and vice versa. I think I kind of just like those for, not nostalgia, what's the word I'm looking for? Novelty, another N starting word. Careful there, Kurt. Not that one. Nostalgia and novelty. Yeah, so I mean, it's pretty typical 70, 80 degrees, sunny, maybe some clouds. But then again, I do find interest in the kind of stormy weather and even snow. I can't say, snow if I don't have to drive is kind of where the snow stuff. But favorite, yeah, I don't know that I can find a favorite. Whoa, it. Okay, that might be like a spawner down there, but I don't see any cobblestone, so I will continue on. Yeah, I don't know, that's one of the things. I liked Oregon and Portland in general and just the general area, but it's one of those things people always say, people from Oregon are always like, oh, I really like gloomy, I like the rain and the clouds and stuff like that. When it's sunny and bright, I'd get like, woo, I'm like a vampire, start burning up in the sunshine. Whereas vice versa, people say if you move there, you get like depressed, or it's just like, oh, I can't deal with this rain. And it's not like a rain either, is it? Seattle and Oregon and Washington and stuff. It's more like just like you don't get a lot of rainfall. You just get a little bit of rainfall, but constantly. It's like more of a drizzle or a mist. And that, yeah, I'm not sure. Certainly in Chicago that happened a lot, and I was getting pretty sick of that. So maybe it's kind of a trade-off. If, in Chicago, perhaps I was getting sick of that because there's no other scenery or things to do. It's all flat in Illinois and the Midwest. The biggest thing there is downtown Chicago, and I was never a huge fan of that. Perhaps the drizzly and drizzly and raininess and cloudiness, if it was surrounded by mountains and the shoreline and big trees and forests and hiking paths and stuff, perhaps that would temper it a little bit more. I don't know. Who knows? But yeah, I can't say I can find a perfect weather condition off the top of my head. Oh, I need a boat. I also need some wood as well, so perhaps we shall obtain some here when we make landfall. Boop. ADF says, I just had the opportunity to wear the Oculus Rift. I demoed a couple games, but was really impressed with space exploration and educational titles. Specifically one called Titans of Space. What are your thoughts on VR, Oculus, and their impact on education? I'm not sure. I'd never thought of it that way. I'm kind of just thinking about it in terms of games, I suppose. But I can see education, certainly even like training and stuff already, and for a while, astronauts have used their own versions of virtual reality goggles to simulate and practice spacewalks and different on-orbit procedures that you really can't, train for down here on Earth. And that's interesting, I suppose. And I was reading, there was recently an article that just came out that said, a weird thing that or at least one company, I'm not sure if it was Oculus or somebody else, has figured out, I need some wood, that's right, is that, a lot of people have problems of motion sickness from using VR because your mind and your eyes are seeing motion, but your body isn't feeling it. So that disconnect is kind of what gives you vertigo and makes people sick. That's why people get sick on planes, because they can't see the motion outside, and boats. If you're not staring at the horizon. They found a fix is to put an artificial nose. Which I guess, I'm like trying to look at it and crossing my eyes right now. Yeah, I guess in normal vision there is a nose there. There's like a nose in the kind of the very extreme internal periphery. Is that even a word? Is there a word for internal periphery as opposed to the external peripheral? The nose gives you a solid thing, and that's kind of what I was talking about. The reason I don't feel like it would work well VR for like first-person stuff. Really, I don't see where that goes, or first-person shooters. Maybe a little bit because the gun is there. I could really see myself enjoying VR for racing games. You know, you have a cockpit, you have a steering wheel, a dashboard, where like your movement is tied to a machine, or flight sims, those type of things, space games, or even like astronaut. You're in a suit, some sort of like astronaut suit, where you can see the visor in front of you, where you have that frame of reference and your head moves around within it, as opposed to having your head movement be the basis like this for your actual in-world movement. I can see where that would be disorienting, but apparently that seems like that's something similar, as opposed to having a dashboard or a steering wheel in front of you. You have your nose. Follow your nose. Fruit Loops. So yeah, that's kind of an interesting thing I thought about. But yeah, I'm not sure. I'm sure it would be cool for education and work really well for that. I mean, there's even people talking about like, oh, you don't have like a fancy pants home theater setup. Put on your VR goggles. I suppose if you could afford VR goggles, why would you not have a fancy pants setup for your home theater? But put on your VR goggles and then put yourself in like a movie theater, like an IMAX theater, in the VR. Like put yourself on a seat, and you can look up around and kind of enjoy that experience. Seems a little bit redundant and a little bit like weird. Oh, we're gonna watch movies now with helmets, but it kind of makes sense. It kind of makes sense. So yeah, I'm interested in the direction it's going. I have not yet purchased any of the dev kits. I think the Oculus at least is working on the next iteration is to be its consumer version. A lot of people are saying, okay, I know they want it to be perfect, but the perfect can sometimes be the enemy of the good, so perhaps the next release should focus on a consumer release. It'll be the first edition consumer release, and certainly further editions will get better, but yeah, I know one of their tenets are David tenets? No, one of their tenets are we're going to make this perfection before we release to the public. No, maybe you should just, if you're doing well enough, let's get a consumer edition out. All right, I was trying to find like a hillside. God, there's so many trees. Here we go. Oh, that's actually terrible next to the lava. All right, things are getting dangerous. Here we go. This is a little bit of a flat area that we can make the hidey hole, and we're going to start tomorrow with our live stream in this hidey hole, right, Wolfie? Close enough. We're going to start the live stream tomorrow, or at least the Far Lands of Busts part of the live stream. We'll be doing other things, but in this hidey hole, so I gonna try to make it a good one. A little bit dangerous, to be honest, because there are a bunch of trees around, and creepers like to hide under the trees. But remind me to keep an eye out when you're watching tomorrow. Twitch.tv/KurtJMac, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. I don't know what that is in UTC. What is that in UTC? That is... I'm doing the math in my head. I'm sorry. 5, so 3... 8 p.m. GMT. 8 p.m. I think. I want to say 8 p.m. GMT. Do the math yourself. You gotta learn to be self-sufficient, my friends. So yeah, well, we will start twitch.tv/KurtJMac is where you want to tune in for that. A 4-year celebration I haven't lined up any guests. I'll be, pinging people who just happen to be around. I don't want people to like take time away from whatever they're doing to show up to this thing. It's gonna be 2 hours, 3 hours maybe. Like I said, a little mini flobathon. I will not be pressing F3. I will not be pressing F3, but I hope maybe the live stream part of it will garner some additional generosity from people donating, or perhaps first-time donators to Child's Play charity, and we will get even closer to that $50,000 mark, and we can have that flobathon sooner than we think. So until tomorrow, I do appreciate you watching this episode of Far Lines of Bust, episode 465. My name is Kurt. I will see you next time. The diamond spawn of sword pointiness